Hi there. Welcome to the Own Your Expertise interview series. I'm Emily Crookston, owner and decider of all things at the Pocket PhD. I'm the ghostwriter for Rebels, Renegades, and Mavericks. And I love helping experts with big ideas get their ideas out of their heads and into the world. Today, I'm here with Belah Rose. Belah is the founder of Delight Your Marriage. She's an internationally acclaimed sexual intimacy expert, coach, author, and speaker. And she also hosts a podcast that has been ranked in the top 30 of relationship podcasts, which I think is so cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, Belah, welcome. I'm going to turn it over to you and have you tell us a little bit more about who you work with and what you do.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, Emily. I am honored and excited. Yes. So yeah, I have I just kind of pinch myself all the time. I have the opportunity to work with people from around the world on their marriages. I find it to be really the most important relationship, your intimate relationship. It affects everything from your business to your academic success to everywhere in between. And so I get to help people go from maybe on the edge of divorce to have a loving relationship full of intimacy where every day feels like magic. Like that's the kind of stuff that by God's grace, I get to talk to people and work with people on. Sometimes I even work with therapists on their own marriages and they, go back and coach in a very different way. So I love this work. And I'm excited to talk more about it.
Really cool. So I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about your path to becoming the expert you are today.
Yeah, it's a great, it's great to have a series like this, Emily, because I'm sure everyone has such unique journeys on how they got to where they are. Mm-hmm. For me, it started with a very bad marriage. And I was married young. I thought I knew everything I needed to know to go in and have a successful marriage, but I had no positive role modeling in my past. I never knew what it was supposed to look like to have a good marriage. And so both of us were coming into it with a lot of misunderstandings about each other. He didn't know how to encourage and love me, and I didn't know anything about sexual intimacy. I was just lots of misunderstandings. And he, we were fighting all the time, and there were various levels of abuse going on in our marriage. And ultimately, I pulled the plug and was like, this is no way good. Yeah. So I got a divorce and went through some real soul searching, but then really came to a place of like understanding that sex is way more than, I guess, what I thought it was. It does connect people in a really meaningful way. And my heart got hurt too many times. So I was like, okay, I want someone who's going to treat me more than just a piece of meat. Like I got the sex thing figured out now. Like how do I go to the next level of have someone respect me and have sex be a good part of our relationship? So I was lucky enough to meet that man, and he respected me. We got married, and shortly after getting married, I felt taken for granted. Again. And I was like, what is going on? Clearly there's a common denominator. So in that marriage, I really searched and learned and read and took courses and really got to a place where I changed my behavior and he changed to turn around and cherish me. So one of the vital things was our sexual intimacy, but it was also me learning to treat him in a way that he would flourish. So then he could treat me in the ways that I would flourish. And so now that's what I get to do.
So I love stories like that because it's so heartfelt and it's so organic and really beautiful. So could you talk a little bit about like when you realized, I have something to share with other people?
I think it was just so many times I wanted to tell people like, why is sex not happening in people's marriages? Like, I felt like it was constant.
That's a good question. I have that question sometimes too. Like, how did it get to that point? I'd like to know the secret so that I can prevent that. Time out.
Exactly.
Right. I don't want to get there.
Exactly. Right. Like I think, in my second marriage through my time of sleeping around and really discovering like, oh my gosh, this is how men think. And then getting to a place where like sex is actually like hugely great in your marriage, because it just revitalizes the relationship and gives you love for each other, connects you like nothing else. Like there's so much goodness to it. And I'm like, why isn't this happening? Like, guys, get it together. Have sex, just do it. So that's how I kind of was just like, if people just could realize the value of sex. And I think usually it's, in my experience with those that I work with, it's the wives that are really at a spot where sex is really not for them. It comes to a place where sex is not for them. It's really for him to keep him so he's not crabby or something like that.
Yeah.
And so I really wanted to like take the lid off of this thing and get people actually talking about it and have this open conversations about sex in a good way. I don't really like all the kind of sleazy, I like talking in a good, like wholesome way, but publicly. Like we don't have to not talk about sex because we don't like those 4-letter words. That's okay. We don't have to say those 4-letter words in public, but we can still talk about sex.
Yes, I love that a lot, because I think so many things in our culture or in our world, our social world, are things that we are afraid to talk about. Money, sex, religion, right? Like you can't bring it up without people like freaking out sometimes, right? And I wonder about that too, because I feel like it does seem to be taboo in a lot of circles to bring it up. But I think you're so right that then you can't figure out how to even talk to your partner. I mean, I was taught to be just totally ashamed about sex. Like it's something to wait until marriage. Don't ever even bring it. Don't talk about it. If you're doing it, I don't want to know about it. I mean, it's, and that really made me approach it with partners in the I couldn't talk about it because I didn't know the first words.
Yeah. And I love that kind of what you're even alluding to is there's so many almost like nuances to it of like sex is very, very important in a relationship. And at the same time, both people need to have complete agency to be able to say, I'm not going to get myself there tonight. Like, I'm not going to be able to do that. I love you, honey. And I'd love to do this maybe tomorrow night. I'd love to, so there's nuances to it, but if we're not talking about it,
right. No, I think that's such an important point, because if you are talking about it regularly, then it's easier to have that conversation. If you're not talking at all and it's just rejection, that's the only time you're talking, or it's just, I want you right now, let's go.
Yes.
It's so hard to get to that like mutual understanding of, maybe an hour, maybe tomorrow morning. I'm not feeling it. I'm tired, or I'm stressed, or whatever it is. Right? Yeah. Could you tell us where we can find you, and especially how to get listen to your podcast?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks. So, delightyourmarriage.com. And, I'd love to maybe direct your audience to a free resource. They can go to delightyourmarriage.com/framework. But this is a free PDF where you can really get the goods on what this framework is about, like what a woman and what a man wants in an intimate relationship. And Delight Your Marriage is the name of the podcast, and love to have you listen.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Belah Rose. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.